XRP as an asset for a US stockpile and billions of dollars being transferred through the banks in which XRP and RLUSD are the core fundamental coins. Sound like make-believe? Well, the reality is both Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz are talking to exactly these 2 points. And this is bullish for crypto holders, especially those with XRP. I'm going to break down all of that in this video and why there is such a big flashing indicator going off for XRP, which could signal another big move to the upside. All of that, like I said, in this video. Go ahead, smash the like button to a brand new all-time high, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel. If you want to get daily alpha calls as well as chart signals, do become a channel member. You get free access to our Discord as part of that channel membership. So with that being said, let's get into it. So in a recent interview, Brad Garlinghouse did officially say that he could see XRP making the list of US government asset stockpiles. Now, the question here is, why would Brad make such a statement? Well, we know he's been part of that work group around digital assets and the US being at the forefront of how that plays out. We also know that he met Donald Trump before he became president to discuss what he even looked at as well. So could this be the first little indicator that we actually could be seeing XRP build out as a stockpile? Oh, and by the way, don't forget Trump initially tweeted this out a while back telling us that Solana, Cardano, and XRP would form part of one of those strategic stockpiles. But more than that, David Schwartz has been talking about how the banks could be moving XRP sooner than you think. Now, we all know DBS and Franklin Templeton have signed a memorandum of understanding this week to work on tokenized trading and lending products, and these reports have been disclosed. Now, Franklin Templeton's SG Benji is a US dollar market fund token, and it's launching on the DBS digital exchange. You might be thinking, well, why is that important? Well, the reality is that the RLUSD stablecoin is going to be used to support that trading activity and is reported to be valued at nearly $730 million. DBS is also exploring the acceptance of the SG Benji as a repo collateral, which would add liquidity for tokenized assets. This all, guess where it's been built? On XRPL. Now, it's interesting that David Schwartz is talking about banks and, quote, billions of dollars. Listen.
Banks, it's very sexy when you close a deal with the bank, you know, and we do that sometimes, but they're very slow movers. They're very slow to execute. They're very conservative. They're never going to be Ripple success stories, and it's hard to get them to push the benefits down to their customers because that's risky for them, and then it highlights where they're inefficient. So we focused a lot on banks in the beginning just because a press release with a bank is a big thing, but we discovered they're just very slow to move. Like, if all they want is a press release, now we're like, hey, like, we want to actually like move billions of dollars now. And they're like, yeah, we kind of don't. So again, according to experts, the reality here is on the back of David Schwartz discussing that, this system makes it easier to move stable coins and yield generating tokens within a single setup. Franklin Templeton said that they selected the XRP ledger for cost and speed reasons. So we have the first 2 steps of all the important puzzle pieces, which is we're going to see a potential stockpile for XRP, and we now know that banks are using it. The rumor mill is around 100 banks are already looking to integrate with XRPL and start to use the RLUSD stablecoin. Very bullish indeed. This is on the back of, well, like we got ETFs, and we discussed this on Friday with the Rex Osprey ETF doing $37 million, but there is a significant demand, we believe, for XRP ETFs. In fact, Giulio Monerio does estimate that the XRP ETFs could absorb nearly 1 to 4% of the circulating supply within a year. With 59.77 billion XRP in circulation, that's 2.39 billion tokens. It's about $7 billion at $3 a price being heading into ETFs. This would put it on par with what we saw with Bitcoin ETFs and those Ethereum ETFs. And if you hold an XRP, could significantly increase the value per token that you're holding. And that won't stop there. Insatiable demand for all these products, with 20 still waiting to be listed. Could even see that number rise to even 10%, which would be the rounds $14 to $16 billion of tokens locked up in those ETFs. Pretty big news. And therefore, there's no wonder that, well, everyone is starting to just warm up to the potential of the next big move for XRP. In fact, the TD sequential has flashed a massive buy signal for XRP and has now shown a strong accuracy on its higher time frame since 2022.
The catalysts, like we've just talked about, ETFs, as well as volume approval and government stockpiles, are absolutely playing out. An XRP 4-hour chart triggered a classic TD sequential buy setup. This, again, in the short term, could see us rally over the course of the next couple of weeks. If you haven't watched my Bitcoin video, go and check that out, because there is some big market moves coming this week that could ignite not only the crypto market, altcoin market, and everything else, but your XRP portfolio as well. Now, this does indicate that traditional sellers or traders are ultimately getting out, and the sell pressure is easing and it's reversing, and we could see a massive inflow of buying power, which would be incredibly important going forward. And this is why people are now predicting that, well, the next rally for XRP is here. A potential 226% surge up towards that $10 mark, given what we've talked about with those ETFs and the CME group launching futures options for not only Solana, but XRP as well. This unlocks Wall Street and professional traders, bringing deep liquidity that they may just need to buy all their XRP. And given all this bullish statements and everything going on, it's no surprise that pro-XRP lawyers are now revealing why the XRP price has taken a hit despite those ETF launches. The reality is this is a direct correlation with what we talked about with the Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, and that's why today and tomorrow are such important days, because this could highlight exactly what we saw with not only the Bitcoin, but the Ethereum ETFs as well, which was the first 2 or 3 days, we did see some selling pressure. We saw people getting and trading these markets before settling down and billions of dollars coming in. Bill Morgan said this is an overwhelming reality of the most significant factor in XRP price movement, which is heavily correlated with Bitcoin price dynamics. It is consistent with Ripple's expert evidence in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. Again, this could play out very favorably over the course of the next 24 hours when it comes to the price of XRP. So if we were to summarize exactly where we are, you've got overwhelming adoption of institutional money. Wall Street wants a piece of the action, and those critical ETFs are now officially live with a potential $4 billion, if not 7, heading to this market. Well, it's only going to be a matter of time before the price skyrockets. And in my last video, I talked about how I felt the price was being suppressed. Well, this just kind of proves it. Could we get an announcement from the US government they're going to be stockpiling Bitcoin and XRP? And could we get another 20 ETFs to the market? It's going to be a pretty week for XRP. And look, we're going to be covering it all on the channel. So make sure you grab that channel membership, link in the description. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.